Are you ready?
Are you ready, Bucs fans? Is that a little more like it? Is that a little more like what you were looking for? How about that? Welcome to the Bucs Report post-game show. We got all kinds of things going on. This is going to be a little different than maybe what you're used to here. This is basically going to be a radio show. We have a partnership with the Florida, with Sports Talk Florida radio networks, and this basically is a radio show. We'll be starting next Thursday night, or a week from Thursday, I guess it is. When we go live, all the way, I believe, from Orlando through Tampa and all over the place, we will be live on the radio and right here on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all over the place. You guys will be able to get in touch with us all over the place. We will be taking phone calls next time. Not tonight, but after the first real game, we'll be taking phone calls, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I am your host, Rick Hughes, and I am excited to be here with Sports Talk Florida and the Bucs Report. And I'm joined by my co-host and my friend, David White-Scarver, who is joining us. How you doing, Dave?
I'm doing great, Rick. It was a great night for the Bucs.
Wasn't it, though? All kinds of good things happened. So much happened. First of all, the good guys win. That's kind of that's kind of what's most important. The good guys win 23-16. And there's good, there's bad, there's all of that that we can go over. And we're gonna pick this thing apart. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna get your comments. You guys, please feel free to make comments on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube. You can do it on, you can go to Bucs Report on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, or you can go to Florida Sports Talk. Just Sports Talk Florida on Twitter at Sports Talk Florida. And guys, I'm looking forward to tonight. I think we've got all kinds of good things to talk about, all kinds of good things to cover. Like I said, 23-16, the good guys win. And it's about time, because the last 2 weeks, everybody's been freaking out online. So let's go from there. Let's break down what happened.
Folks. Preseason.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Let's break down what happened. Let's break it down by quarter, starting off with the first quarter. Dave, what happened in the first quarter?
Well, the Bucs received the opening kickoff. Tom Brady was under center. Unfortunately, it was a 3-and-out for the Bucs. The starting quarterback for the Houston Texans was Tyrod Taylor, a familiar name for NFL fans out there, and the Texans returned the favor with a 3-and-out. Then Tom Brady surgically dismantled the defense. He completed all 7 of his passes on a 91-yard drive. It ended with a 24-yard touchdown pass to Chris Godwin. Unfortunately, the extra point was blocked, and that led to a 6-0 lead for the Bucs. The completions on that drive went to the running backs. It was spread around to all 3 wide receivers. It was a great drive, and the starters looked fantastic. Houston came back with a sustained drive of their own that included a 4th down conversion at the Buc 23. This 9-minute, 18-play, 72-yard drive ended at the Bucs 7 when a 4th and 5 attempt pass fell harmlessly incomplete. If it had been a regular season, you'd have thought they'd have gone for a 25-yard field goal, but they definitely wanted to get their starters 4th down reps for the Texans. Tom Brady came back again. He completed his 8th pass in a row, a 32-yard pass to Chris Godwin that brought us to the end of the first quarter. With the end of the first quarter score, Tampa Bay Bucs 6, Houston Texans 0.
The Bucs started the second quarter like champs. The sleeping giants sort of had awakened, I guess, finally. There was an 8-play, 93-yard touchdown drive capped off by a 13-yard absolute thing of beauty. Ronald Jones breaking off right guard for the score. The PAT attempt, the first ever by Borregales missed it. This was finally the first one that he hit. He finally got his PAT, got a little confidence under his belt. Houston followed that up with a 6-play drive that ended with a fumble recovery by Khalil Davis, the champs, folks. When the starters were out there, it was pretty awesome. 2 plays later, the shenanigans continued. Tom Brady was done for the night, and Blaine Gabbert was picked off at the Houston 26. After a quick 5-and-out by Houston, Gabbert was sacked for a safety. It was the Texans' only points at that point, only score at that point, making the score 13-2. Quickly, the defense stepped up with a pick by second-year quarterback Herb Miller out of FAU. After trading 3-and-outs, Davis Mills was picked off by the Bucs at the Houston 44. 6 plays later, Jose Borregales kicked his first NFL field goal. It was a 36-yarder to end the half. The Bucs were up 16-2. That took us to intermission. When we came back from intermission, the third quarter, Dave, what happened?
Well, Bruce Arians said prior to the game that if you saw the starters in the third quarter, they weren't ready for week 1. They were more than ready. They didn't make it out of the second quarter. Houston took the opening second half kickoff with Davis Mills still under center. The Texans went on an 11-play, 74-yard drive that ended at the Buc 1 with the defense stiffening up and keeping the Texans out of the end zone as the Bucs took over on downs. Kyle Trask, your second-round draft pick from Florida, was under center for the Bucs. On the first drive, Trask fumbled on the 11, and the ball was recovered by the Texans. It only took 1 play for the Texans to hit pay dirt on a pass from Davis Mills to Nico Collins, the third-round draft pick out of Michigan. The 2-point conversion was completed on a pass from Mills to Kiki Kute, and our score was now Tampa Bay 16, Houston 10, with the good guys only up 6. Keyshawn Vaughn fumbled the kickoff from the Texans that was recovered by Jeremiah Ledbetter for the Bucs. Kyle Trask then went on was 5 for 5 on a 6-play, 78-yard drive that ended with a 20-yard touchdown pass to tight end Cody McElroy. Jose Borregales added another extra point, making the score your Tampa Bay Bucs 23 and the Houston Texans 10. The Texans took the ensuing kickoff and had an 8-play, 48-yard drive that stalled on the Buc 27. Davis Mills' 4th and 2 pass intended for tight end rookie Brevin Jordan, 5th-round pick out of Miami, fell incomplete, and again, the Bucs took over on downs. The Bucs started a drive, bringing the third quarter to an end, with the last play being a Keyshawn Vaughn third-quarter 5-yard run. Your end of third-quarter score, the Tampa Bay Bucs 23 and the Houston Texans 10.
2 plays into the fourth quarter, Trask fumbled for the second time, again recovered by Houston. 5 plays later, Houston converted on 4th and 8 for 6 points on a Davis Mills pass over the middle. The 2-point conversion failed. It was 23-16 Bucs, which that was pretty close to how it ended. Hold on here. We had, let's see, after an 8-play, 29-yard drive, led again by Kyle Trask, the field goal attempt by Borregales was again blocked, and we'll get into that. 4 plays later, the Bucs recover a fumble on their own 26-yard line with 5:32 remaining. After a 5-play, 16-yard drive, the Bucs punted. D. Delaney again followed up with an interception, his second, and that's how you make an impact on a team. Trask, basically, he completed a pass to Mickens on 3rd down, and basically the Bucs were able to run out the clock, leaving Houston high and dry, and that is how we came to the end of the game, 23-16. The good guys win. All right. It was good to see a win. It was very good to see the starters play like the starters, play like the champions that they are. I think that's probably the key that I take away from this. I think that there are 2 things that I think are very important. They played like champions. And the next thing is, this brings us to our injury update. Dave?
It's crickets. There's not a lot of injuries to update. Really, if you want to go through the COVID update, Ndamukong Suh was placed on the COVID list Saturday. He's never missed a game due to illness or injuries in his entire career, and he's on 147 straight game without a break. And that should continue. All he needs is 2 negative tests, at least 24 hours apart. Ryan Suckup, as we well know, Tuesday went on the COVID list, and 2 more were added on Friday, offensive lineman Earl Watford and Nick Leverett. We expect them all to be back for week 1, which would indicate they all have been vaccinated to our knowledge. And fortunately and amazingly and fantastically, the Bucs have a very short injury list.
Yeah. One of the things I have down here as a key is on my notes here is healthy. Guys, it's really kind of crazy to think about the fact that the Buccaneers are going into this regular season pretty much completely intact. That's 2 years in a row, and that doesn't happen. And if you've been a Bucs fan for long at all, that rarely happens. But the Bucs look like they are absolutely ready to go, raring to go. The starters looked ready, and I think this is pretty exciting. When you look at the Bucs, it's hard to it's hard to find too much out of the starters to complain about. I mean, Tom Brady was every bit of everything you want him to be at this point. He looked completely he looked in the zone. So I'm absolutely happy to see what is going down with the starters. Dave, any first impressions?
I thought the down part for the game tonight for the Bucs was the extra points that were missed and blocked, and the field goal that was blocked. The special teams, the returns they were lacking as well. There's a lot to work on before week 1. The defense played phenomenally well. I thought the second string, he didn't miss a beat. Joe Tryon, Shoyinka, he's a starter on basically 31 other teams. He's phenomenal. It's going to be getting enough reps for him and for others, but the defense played well. They're deep. The offense, I saw in the comments where it was like, I thought the starters were supposed to play the entire first half. They played so well that after midway into the second quarter, they were done for the night. They're ready to go. And you can bet that Arians would have had them out there if they were not ready for week 1, but they are. So offense, defense, great. Special teams, we got some work to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the special teams that does scare me a little bit. I've got some questions about some different positions, and we'll get into that as the night continues. We'll be here with for a good hour with you guys, and guys, this looks like a solid team. You wanted this, you got it. I mean, it is pretty exciting. Teresa Baxter on Facebook wrote in that she thought the starters were supposed to play the first half. Well, you don't need to when you play like that. I mean, when you're that on fire, it was like, okay, you guys are, they've shaken off the rust, they've shaken off the dust. Now get the heck out of there while you are healthy.
Well, Chris Myers on the broadcast, he summed it up when he said Tom Brady looks like a 24-year-old in his prime. He doesn't look like a 44-year-old. Yeah. And I'm just amazed by it all. Yeah. And I'm going to enjoy this for as long as we can. I mean, Father Time's batting 1,000, but whatever Tom Brady's doing, it's just phenomenal. And this is not just a generational. I don't think you'll ever see this again as long as they're NFL football. Somebody playing at this level at 44. Yeah,
it always makes me laugh when you hear about people calling other players. Is he Brady-esque, or is he, the baby, or is he this? Nobody, stop it. I mean, there's really nobody that comes close, and he's earned every bit of the respect that he gets. This is his 22nd year in the league, I believe, and if he's played 22 years and he's still playing at this level and looking this healthy and looking this sharp and there's no other way to word it. That's a freak of nature. He looked phenomenal tonight, and a lot of players did, and we'll get into that, but it's pretty exciting. It's fun to see. It's fun to know that this team actually is as advertised. I mean, it's one thing. It's one thing to act like, or to have hopes for a team. The first 2 preseason games come around, and the Bucs didn't look so good. I mean, they struggled. It's preseason, and people were raising questions and concerns, understandably. But this is what happens, guys. It doesn't count right now. You know what? The Buccaneers are 0-0. So are the Dallas Cowboys. So when they go into play a week from Thursday, throw everything out that's happened. I mean, can you remember what the Bucs preseason was 2 years ago? Do you remember what the record was? I don't. It just doesn't matter. I mean, that's the bottom line. Preseason does not matter. This preseason's record does not matter. What happened tonight in the game, the only way that it matters is that the team became better prepared for regular season and they got out healthy. Beyond that, I don't even care about the score. They got out healthy. So, I mean, that really is that's really all you want. Healthy, healthy, healthy. And
well, there is a bit of concern in the rushing game. They only had 52 yards rushing, and the yards per rush was 2.2, but that wasn't their focus. They were wanting the offense, the passing game to be in sync, which it is. Well, but you got to have that rushing game when you get in a close game, and that will happen some point along the season. You need to run the clock out and get some first downs. They do need the rushing game more fine-tuned than what it is now.
Yeah, I mean, it is a concern. The running game is a concern. It absolutely is a concern. Arians said last week they wanted to work on the passing game. This week they wanted to work on the running game. Now, having said that, Ronald Jones looked effective, very effective. Keyshawn Vaughn did not. Again, something we'll talk about in a little bit. There's a lot to unpack. There really is a lot to unpack tonight. And I think as we break it all down, and you guys can comment, like I said, you can comment on Facebook, you can comment on YouTube or Twitter for Bucs Report or or at Sports Talk Florida on Twitter. You can find us at all of those places. So wherever, if you're listening to us now, feel free to comment. We'll talk. We will answer some of your comments there in future weeks. We will take phone calls and we will be able to take text messages during the game. I mean, during the post-game show, and we will be able to talk to you about the game and break it all down.
Hey, Rick, we do have a request for the Broncos-Rams update. The Broncos are up 17-12 with 8:24 to go in the fourth.
All right. Now what we're going to do here, guys, we're going to go to our first commercial break. We will be back shortly, and we will take it from there. It's good to be with you guys. After a win, go Bucs.
QB54 is the new cornhole. This game is awesome. Interceptions, touchdowns, get it in the hole, you're in. Kick a field goal, it's the way to go. Much better than cornhole. This game is the new cornhole.
Tailgater. Been doing it my whole life. If you're looking to spice up your tailgate, this is where it's at. QB54.
All right, guys, we are back. We're going to continue with sort of our overall opinions on the game, our overall impressions, some things that I want to bring up and talk about. Look, the starters look ready, but special teams did not. It's everything from the kick returns, punt returns. Jalen Darden flashed. He did flash, but this team looks... On special teams, look, they did not have a great year last year on special teams. If there's anything you can be concerned about, is special teams going to be something that is going to be the Achilles heel of this team? Dave, do you have any thoughts?
It's an issue. As I mentioned earlier, if you get down to a close ball game, or you get deep into the playoffs, You don't want to go in with that kind of lurking in the back of your mind that I hope we, are we going to get this extra point? You don't want to be, are we going to get the ball back to the 15-yard line? That shouldn't be things that you're concerned about. And like I said, when you get into a close game, and it will happen at some point, you don't want those question marks. You want to be well oiled, including the special teams, because you can certainly lose a game with special teams.
Well, Tuesday is cut down day. Tuesday is a big day, and I promise you there are going to be names that you're used to, names that you recognize. There are going to probably be some surprises. There probably will be a name or two that make you kind of scratch your head and go, what? And understand this team that you see right now, it's not complete. Believe it or not, we think about the depth that this team has and how complete this team is. Let me tell you something. It's not just who the Bucs are going to cut. It's not like you look at this roster and say, okay, they're going to cut down to the minimum. And then, they're going to do the minimum they can on cuts. And then that's the end. That's who we go into the season with. I'm not sure that's true. Jason Light said before the game that they're going to be scouring the waiver wire to see who gets cut. And we don't even know what's about to happen. But let me tell you something. This is something that comes through my mind. I want you to think about this on this wide receiving core, everybody. Let's say you keep 6 of these. All right? Let's say you keep 6. Evans, Godwin, Brown, Jalen Darden. Those 4 are pretty much a given. You're going to keep those 4. That means out of the next people that I mentioned, out of the following 5, you're going to keep 2. Only 2. Tyler Johnson, Justin Watson, Scotty Miller, Cyril Grayson, and Jaden Mickens. At most, you keep 3. That means 2 of those people are gone. Now, before you start going, oh, that's easy, Mickens and Grayson are gone. Hold on. They have special teams value. People like Tyler Johnson, you don't see him on special teams. Justin Watson, Scotty Miller. So what's going to happen? Some people are going to be left exposed. They're going to get cut. Now you hope you can bring them back and put them on the practice squad. But guys, there are going to be names that you are familiar with that are going to be gone. So Tuesday, don't freak out. Don't flip out and say, oh no, this guy's bad. You know what makes me laugh is how for so many people, what they say is every time a player gets cut, they say, oh man, that was a terrible draft pick. Listen, man, no team does everybody make the team. Did you guys see who was playing, who was a backup in Houston tonight as a defensive back? Did you guys happen to see Vernon Hargraves running around out on the field? Do you miss him? Do you think it was a bad move? This is how it goes, guys. This is how it goes. And one of the people that I want to bring up, the Buccaneers have given every opportunity to Keyshawn Vaughn. I'm not saying he's going to get cut at all. They obviously, it seems like they're trying very hard to get this guy to work. 2 games in a row, they gave him a lot of work. 2 games in a row, he didn't really do anything. As Andrew Faubert from Live from the Cheap Seat said, Vaughn looks like he wants to have a high motor, and then he allows himself to take the tackle. It's an issue. Keyshawn Vaughn, we're just not seeing much at all from him. I'm a little concerned about Vaughn, and he was one of my favorite players. I had high hopes for him. Any thoughts?
I agree with you. It's been a big disappointment. I was excited as well because being an SEC guy, I saw him at Vanderbilt where he kind of single-handedly took over the Vanderbilt offense. And I'm thinking he can do this in the NFL, and then he's not been able to do it. But he's not moving up the depth chart, and that's on him. He's having yes, he needs time, and he needs the starters around him. He would perform better, but if he performed better in practice And with those reps, he wouldn't be the fourth string running back.
You're right. And you say, you say he needs the starters around him to perform better. That's fine. But then let's look at Joe Tryon-Stroyinka. Here's a rookie who comes in. He does not have the starters around him. And he's a beast, an absolute beast. And he shows on the field. You see what he does. He flashes. You see brilliance. You see what the Bucs did with their draft. You see what happened. And it's really hard to look at Joe Tryon-Stroyinka and not think, oh boy, another one on this defense.
He's playing lights out, and he's hungry. And they won't admit to, but I'm sure some of those vets are looking over their shoulder a little bit because he's that good.
Yeah, and in the meantime, Keyshawn Vaughn, 12 carries, 23 yards. 12 carries, 23 yards. I mean, they're giving him the carries. Two games in a row, they gave him plenty of carries, and he's just not doing anything with it. And that is a concern to me. It really is a concern to me. I mean, I want the guy to succeed. He's actually somebody I was excited about. I really was excited about it, but it just feels like I don't know. I don't know.
There's a huge gap between college and the NFL, and just because somebody checks some boxes and does well at a combine doesn't mean that they're going to be successful in the NFL. And unless Keyshawn turns it around quickly, I can't see him being in the league much longer.
Let me ask you something, Dave. As I look around the NFC South, I know that the New Orleans Cardinals game, preseason game, was canceled. This was a big game for the Buccaneers. Is that what kind of impact is that going to have? I mean, Jameis didn't get the work tonight. The Cardinals didn't get the work in the extra game. I mean, what kind of impact? I mean, you've got to feel for the people of New Orleans, and you've got to understand, wow, 20 years to the day that Katrina hit. It looks like that is going to be, I think it was 20 years. Or 23 years. I don't remember the exact number, but
not long enough.
Right. And they're getting bared down on by what's probably going to be a category 4. And they had to cancel the game. And I guess it's a little weird to say, it's weird to say, gosh, does this impact the Saints? Because there are far bigger things to worry about. But right now, for this moment, we're going to talk about football. And does this impact the team?
Well, I think we had a discussion on your Tuesday show that people were getting a little overly excited about Jameis Winston and the work he had done. It's better that he had a good game against the Jaguars in preseason than not, but don't read too much into it. We'll just have to see. It's to be determined. It's certainly not good for the Saints. It's not good for Jameis because it's going to be a pretty long period of time before he gets game reps from that Jaguar game to week 1. So, we'll just see how it goes. We'll see how it goes, but it's not a negative for the Bucs. I mean, I just don't see the Saints. I mean, they still have their defense, but Winston's going to have to show me something during the regular season. I haven't seen it yet. If he does, more power to him, but I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. Yeah. I just wonder. I mean, I do wonder whether this impacts not just the Saints, but does it also impact the Cardinals? They lost a game. They lost a preseason game. I mean, that's got to have some kind of impact. And then you have the Panthers who I mean, they look good in their final preseason game. Does in the NFC South, I don't know.
Well, the NFC South, the Panthers are going to be a different team. Last year they had Teddy Bridgewater. Now you got Sam Darnold, and he has some zip on the ball that Teddy didn't. I mean, Darnold last night, he had 162 yards and 2 touchdowns, one to Robbie Anderson, another to Terrence Marshall Jr. He was making the throws, and he's no longer with the Jets, which is a positive for him. I think he threw a party for being traded. You usually don't see that. You see parties for being drafted, but I think he probably had a party for being traded out of New York. And he's he looks good. I don't think Carolina is they're not going to be playoff bound, but I think they could be a 500 team this year.
Yeah, I mean they're definitely they're going to take a step forward one way or the other, and knowing that I mean the one team that I think is a wild card in all of this is the Falcons. I don't know what to expect from the Falcons. I mean, they are such an odd team. Before last season, the thing that I kept saying about the Falcons is they're the kind of team that can win 2 games the entire year, or they could just lose 2 games in an entire year, and you never know which Falcons team is going to show up. I mean, they're either really good or really bad in general, and there's not a lot in between. And I don't know that the loss of Julio Jones is going to tear them apart. I don't think it is. But okay, so you replaced him. You're still the same team from last year, aren't you?
Well, you're adding Kyle Pitts from Florida, and he's going to be an impact player, but how much impact are you going to get from a rookie, even one with the skills that Kyle Pitts has? That'll be of interest to me when I'm following the Falcons to see how that plays itself out. But the Falcons, they're really too much of a wild card for me to kind of hang my hat on what I think is going to happen with them this year.
Yeah, I think when you look at them, I guess the best way I can say is, as I look at them, I think, that at best, okay, you've got Pitts. Now if Pitts replaces Julio Jones, you're in the same position you were. They didn't have a problem scoring points last year. They couldn't stop other teams when they had to. And I don't think that's going to get any better.
No, I'm not expecting. Actually, if I had to put my pick in, I'm going to put the Panthers ahead of the Falcons going into the season, but subject to change.
No, yeah, I think that's right. Fred Swayze Moore on Facebook said that Vaughn played with a trash line. Roja would do no better with that line. That may be correct. That may be accurate. I'm not. I hope that is correct, and I hope the coaches feel that same way. But I think that I don't know. The fact that Vaughn lost the ball on the kickoff. Now he took quite a hit. He got popped, and I understand that. You cannot lose the ball. You cannot lose the ball. You cannot lose the ball. Period. I don't want to talk. I don't want to hear. But you cannot lose the ball. So, with the 2 games in a row of not being able to run, fine, blame the line. Okay, he dropped the ball on a kickoff. Fine, say it was because he got hit like he did. We're coming up with a lot of reasons and a lot of excuses for a lack of success, and I think that's not a good sign. When you get your shot when you're playing, you have to do it. This is not. I mean, this is your chance. I mean, they put you on the field and say, "Okay, go make a name for yourself, son," and it didn't happen. And I'm really hoping we see more out of him. I would like to see him get some chances and get a shot this year and see what he can do with the ones. I would like to see it a little more during regular season. But the one thing we saw last year was questions about ball security, and now you're seeing the same thing again on the kickoff. I don't know. I mean, it seems like it's at least enough to raise your eyebrows and say, I sure hope this isn't a concern.
One can hope. It'll play itself out, but it's definitely a question mark.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it'll be fine. I'm guessing. I'm hoping.
Hope springs eternal and when you're getting ready to start the season. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I think I have not been able to hear Bruce Arians, what Bruce Arians had to say in the post-game press conference for Tom Brady, and I'm looking forward to hearing that and getting the comments, finding out a little bit about that and what their general feedback is. But Bruce Arians has to feel good right now. And, I mean, he's got to feel good. I'm sitting here making it sound like they had a bad game by talking about Vaughn, focusing on that and everything. Look, the team just won. The offense just looked amazing. Tom Brady looked phenomenal. The Bucs looked every bit like the champions that they are. or were. I don't know which word is really proper, because this year, as Bruce Arians said, they haven't done anything this year. They're 0-0. Their record is the exact same thing as the Dallas Cowboys, and I want to see a complete game out of this team. I want to see the ball be able to be controlled. I want to see some success on the ground. Do you read at all into Rojo getting the start today instead of Fournette with the ones? I mean, is that a sign of what's coming? I mean, is that sort of answering the question about which one's going to get the start, or is it going to change week to week? Dave?
Well, I think it's going to be week to week, and it may be a matchup type of thing. And I think Arians is probably going to ride the hot running back, so to speak. Again, that's something of interest that will remain to be seen. But Rojo being the starter with the starters, that makes you think week one he's going to be the starter.
Yeah.
And until something happens. So we shall see. But if you're out there with the starters, then I think you're the starter for week one.
Yeah, you gotta wonder. You gotta wonder if that's not what it's gonna be like. Here's what I want to do. Now, I want to say this. Most of the time, guys, the way that you will get in touch with us is through texting or through messaging on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, or you will be able to call into the show. Tonight, I'm going to do it different just because tonight we are not on the radio. So tonight, let's have a little fun with this. And I'm going to open up the comments from you guys. I'm going to go ahead and put a link in chat for you guys to come on. If you want to come on and talk to us, you don't have to come on camera. But if you do want to talk to us, I did just put the link, the StreamYard link in there for you. Just click on that link or take that link and you can come and join us here. If you got the guts, bring it. Come on, let's talk to us. Ask us questions. We don't bite, I promise. We do want to talk about the game. There's a lot to talk about. And when I say a lot, I mean there is so much to talk about. So I'm going to look forward to hearing from you guys. And right now, what I'm going to do is take us to our second break. And hopefully when we come back, we will hear from somebody out there. We got a couple commercials here for you. We'll be right back.
Greatest game ever invented. Blows can jam out of the water. Everybody can play it. There's this game, I've never seen anything like it before, and it's one of the most fun things I've ever played.
Playing QB54 and I love it. So much better than cornhole. I already have 2 touchdowns, but I'm working on my field goal. QB54 is awesome!
Oh, it combines cornhole, it combines pong, and football. There's no other way to tailgate.
America's tailgating game. Let's go.
QB54. Let's go, baby.
All right, guys, welcome back. Welcome back. Oh, come on. Nobody's got the guts to come on here and talk about us. Come on, Andrew Filbera. I saw you out there. You've got to have the guts to come on and do that. Fred Swayze Moore on Facebook said that and I'm going to reiterate it, he brought up how Vaughn played with a trash line. Rojo would do no better. I just don't think that's true. I just think Rojo is a better back. It'd be nice if I was wrong. It'd be nice if you had that in your back pocket, but we will see. Which makes me think about fantasy football and all the updates and everything that's going on there. Dave, do you you have any updates? Anything going on fantasy football wise? Anything going on in your brain? You're the kind of the expert.
Well, I can run through some of the decisions that were made throughout the week. The Bears named Andy Dalton the starter over Justin Fields. Now, why I don't think that'll be the case in week 17, but Andy Dalton's your starter for week 1 for the Bears. Teddy Bridgewater, he beat out Drew Lock in Denver. He's going to be the starter in Denver. Etienne, the Jags running back, he's out for the season, which meant James Robinson has moved up. I've seen as many as 12 spots in fantasy football rankings for the draft. If your draft hasn't taken place yet, please make note of it. Big surprise, Trevor Lawrence is going to start for the Jaguars at Houston in week 1. And there was an interesting trade. Sony Michel traded from the Patriots to the Rams. The Rams were in desperate need of a running back. Now they got him. And we'll see how that balances out the Rams' attack. Saquon Barkley, he participated in live drills this past Thursday. Week 1 availability still remains uncertain. That's something to monitor. Odell Beckham Jr. is in a similar spot. He participated in 11-on-11 drills on Thursday. He may play week 1. I'm a betting man, which I'm not typically. I would say he's going to play in week 1, but it's still something to monitor. And Cortland Sutton, he had his first live action since tearing his ACL in September 2020. As if he plays, which I think he will, he's going to be a wide receiver 3 at worst. And Ryan Tannehill, he's one of 9 Titans players and coaches with COVID, but he's still expected to start in week 1. So those are some of the developments that happen that's going to affect you. And if you haven't had your draft yet, make sure you brush up and you're ready to go.
Yeah, well, and for those who don't know, a couple of years ago, or it was last season, I guess, the Bucs Report Fantasy League, Dave, quietly behind the scenes, helping me run my team, and
still a secret.
Yeah, well, not so much. And just like the Bucs, we walked away as champs. So, anyway, there's a lot to digest here. I want to talk about surprises and disappointments from the game. And for me, the surprises and disappointments, people I'm surprised about, you got to say D. Delaney. I mean, come on, 2 interceptions. Way to go. Way to go, for young man. I mean, if the coaches aren't looking at you now, somebody on some team will be. So, I mean, that you've got to be happy. He took a little shot there on the last interception. I hope he is okay. I imagine we'll probably find out tomorrow. But I really hope that guy sticks around and picks. Everybody be ready, because the picks are going to come furiously. They're going to come fast. They're going to come furious. They have to be made by Tuesday. I don't think teams are going to wait until then. You're going to probably start hearing cuts tomorrow. You will definitely start hearing cuts on Monday, but the teams have to have cuts done by Tuesday. So other surprises. D. Delaney, like I said, I think he was a surprise. It was nice to see Jalen Darden do his thing at some point. It's not going to be a surprise to say Joe Tryon Soroyinka. At some point, you just can't say it's a surprise. But I'll still give him that, being a rookie. Anybody else surprise you?
Well, I think the defense overall, Joe Tryon Shoyinka, he was phenomenal, and we're already coming to expect that. But they passed the eye test when the second team came in on defense. Granted, the Texans are going to be poor offensively, and they're going to be focused on running the ball. But nevertheless, when they did try to throw it, the defense was more than up for the challenge. So they did better than I expected them to, and they did a phenomenal job.
When it comes to disappointments, you got to say the offensive line, or at least the second string offensive line.
Well, I think the biggest disappointment for me was, and we've touched on it, is they didn't run the ball well at all throughout the game, even with the starters in. They didn't need to, because Brady was so on, but still they did not run the ball effectively at all.
Right. Is that Keyshawn Vaughn? Is that I tend to think it's the backup offensive line because of the sacks on Trask, the safety that was given up, Trask fumbling the ball. That's a disappointment. But he's a surprise at the same time, because he looked good. I mean, if nothing else, I think when it comes to surprises and disappointment, Kyle Trask is both. He was surprisingly good. He had a great drive. He looked fantastic. He looked in command. He looked confident, and he dropped the ball twice. Put the ball on the ground twice. So and got sacked for a safety. So you got a little bit of both going on there, I think, with Kyle Trask. I also think disappointments is special teams. Once again, just all year long last year, and it's continuing now. I just don't want to see that. I just do not want to see it. Tony Snow on Facebook sent a message to us and said that he thinks Antonio Brown looked more like his younger self tonight, and I agree. I think he's in for a huge year. I think right now we're talking about him being the number 3 receiver. I think next year at this time, if he is still a Buccaneer, we will be talking about him being the number 1 receiver. That
is a powerful statement to make, Rick.
Yeah, well, I think it's probably true because he's one of the best route runners, probably the best route runner in the NFL, possibly one of the best route runners in the last 10 or 15 years. I mean, he is gold when it comes to route running, and he's got speed and he's got the hands. He just has he has ability in spades. You just have to understand this guy is not just a really good receiver. He is like almost generational. And now he's, excuse me, now he's playing with a generational quarterback. I mean, holy cow.
I mean, like I say, from the eye test, it looks like his routes are a lot more crisp and they're more defined. And he does seem to have a better spring in his step, so to speak, than he did last year. So that does not speak well for the rest of the NFL.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he can. Well, I think it's going to come down to not so much who's the first, second, and third receiver. It's going to be what is the defense giving you, who's going to be the most open. And I think that's going to change from game to game. But it's great to see Antonio Brown being better, even better than what he was last year.
Yeah.
It's just a question of him. Can he keep his head right?
Yeah. I mean, and you know what? Let's give the guy some props. He kept it together last year, not in some small way. The word out of the locker room is this guy was not even remotely a diva or a cancer at all. So that's good. Let's hope he can keep that together and keep it up. We'll see. Kyle Trask, like I said, he looked like a rookie with a lot of potential, but he looked like, and I think right now the Bucs can look at Kyle Trask and say maybe there's something there for the future. I think sometimes people get excited, and you'll see on Facebook, Kyle Trask is the future. Kyle Trask is amazing. You'll start hearing that. Give it time, as I like to say. Simmer down, Sparky. Give it time. It will work itself out. We will find out.
Well, then I've also seen the opposite, where Kyle Trask is not your future quarterback, et cetera, et cetera. So let's just leave it for what it is. Kyle Trask, second-round pick. He played like a second-round pick in preseason. He had flashes. He put the ball on the ground. It's a mixed bag, and really, that's not a surprise to me from your second-round quarterback getting his first reps.
Yeah,
with real guys wanting to get you. So.
Yeah, Carl Hardy on Facebook said that the depth of our offensive line is what's starting to worry him, and DePazio says that Brady is unique, nothing like him before or after, and that is definitely kind of hard to contradict. I mean,
it really is. It's just completely mind blowing what Tom Brady continues to accomplish. He's 44 years old. The only other person I can think of would be Brett Favre, who had some measure of success, but it certainly hasn't been at the level what Tom Brady has.
Brett Favre has one Super Bowl.
Correct. But it really is mind-numbing. There isn't even a discussion. Like in basketball, it's like LeBron versus Michael, which to me, I think it's Michael Jordan. But in football, I mean, there isn't a serious discussion anymore. Yeah, Buck fans, Tom's our guy now. We're biased, but in reality, when you just look at the hard numbers, you look at the leadership, whatever you look at, there really is no discussion as to who's the greatest of all time quarterback in the NFL is. That's Tom Brady.
Yeah, it's not close. Even when in basketball, you have the is it Jordan or is it LeBron or is it Kobe or whatever? You hear those discussions. There's no discussion in football. There's no discussion in football. I mean, is Tom Brady, okay, you say he's won 7. That's amazing. He's been to 10. I mean, you're in the league for 22 years and you've been to 10 Super Bowls. Let that just wash over you and sink in. And that's what I've said, Buccaneers fans. This is what I have said to Bucs fans for a while now. Bucs fans need to recognize, Bucs fans need to realize, by far, the greatest NFL football player ever is on the franchise, loves being a part of the franchise, is not looking to retire anytime soon. He's brought it up again that he's planning on playing for at least a couple more years. And I mean, he's mentioned it over and over, the greatest player of all time is a Buccaneer and loves it. That, for if you've been a fan of this franchise for any length of time at all, that's a little bit hard to just let wash over you. And I mean, it's phenomenal. When you think of the number of preseason games that Tom Brady has played, you have to factor in that he's played, I think the number is something like, it basically is the equal of about 2 more seasons, maybe more than that, of football. So when you look at it and say he's played 22 years, he's really played 24 when you add in the postseason games, the number of postseason games. That's phenomenal. And that's what this guy's all about. So, I mean, I'm excited about it. It's great. I think, as you look forward, guys, Bucs fans out there, this year is absolutely the you've never come close to being able to look at a team as a Bucs fan and look at a team and have this kind of hope. You can say, what about last year? Last year, you had hope, but there was not a ton that you could rely on and count on and say, look at this team, look what they've done. This is a Super Bowl team. We don't think this is a Super Bowl quality team. We don't hope this is a quality football team. We've watched this be a Super Bowl quality team. We've watched them play. We've watched it happen. We've seen it take place. Every little bit of it. So, I mean, guys, this is it, man. This is it. I mean, we got a lot to be excited about.
Well, one thing that comes up that I don't think it's pointed out enough is that usually after a Super Bowl win, you are a team that gradually improved to become a Super Bowl team. And that wasn't the case with the Bucs. They did it in 1 year. And I don't think there's going to be complacency because Mike Evans has played 7 years in the NFL. He's had 1 winning season. Levante David has been in the NFL for 9 years. He has 1 winning season. The vast majority of the Bucs have only enjoyed 1 year's worth of success. And I think that hunger is going to carry through. I mean, we're thinking Super Bowl champion, but wait a minute. I mean, if you look at these guys' careers, they've had 1 year where they made the playoffs. They just happened to win the Super Bowl as well. But I still think there's a hunger that goes and permeates throughout the Bucs organization, and they don't want it just to be 1 year.
Yeah, I think you're right, Dave. I think there's almost a fear. I'm gonna use the term that there's almost a fear of, oh no, please, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back to where we were. And that I think that lingers, I guess, in their head probably, when you've got year after year after year that you lose, and that's what Mike Evans has experienced. Let's be honest. That's what Levante David has experienced. I think they know what it tastes like to win now, but I'll bet you these guys still remember the other taste, the taste of losing. And that's what's going to make all those years where it was terrible. That's what's going to make this team different. That's what's going to help this team be able to win 2 in a row, is because they know what it's like. They remember what it's like to not just be bad, but to be embarrassing. And remember, that's what it was like as a Buck. It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing for years. So, I mean, there's a lot to digest, guys, but the embarrassment's over. Now, holy cow. Now, I do want to bring up one thing, and we're going to talk about it after the next break, but there's something I want to bring up and talk about. It is Blaine Gabbert and what Blaine Gabbert looked like tonight. When we come back, we're also going to have our first guest come on. But I think it's a little interesting. It's something we want to talk about, something for us to process and think about. So we will see. And I want to hear your thoughts on Blaine Gabbert. I want to hear your thoughts on the backup quarterback situation. And we will get to you when we come back after this message.
Is the new cornhole. This game is awesome. Interceptions, touchdowns, get it in the hole, you're in. Kick a field goal, it's the way to go. Much better than cornhole. This game is the new cornhole.
Tailgater. Been doing it my whole life. If you're looking to spice up your tailgate, this is where it's at. QB 54.
All right, we're going to bring on someone else here real quick. We are going to bring on Stephen Glasker. Stephen is part of Miscreants Mayhem, one of the shows on Bucs Report that is sort of taking the Bucs world by storm. And Stephen is on there with Matt Colston and Teresa Baxter. It's good to have him on here. Welcome. How you doing, Stephen?
Hey guys, thanks. Great show, by the way.
Excellent.
Awesome job.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Glad you're here, Steve.
Hey, Dave.
Okay, so I got a question for you. I want to talk to you about the backup quarterback. Do you think Blaine Gabbert and did tonight raise any concerns?
Yes, and that's a great question. I'm actually glad you asked me that. I don't think that it raised enough concerns that he shouldn't be on the team. I think he put in question whether or not he should be the number 2 quarterback.
Okay, that's fair. Do you think, though, I mean, again, like Keyshawn Vaughn struggled behind that line. Kyle Trask struggled behind that line.
Yeah.
Gabbert struggled behind that line. Now, I'm not making excuses. I'm raising the question because everybody was making, we were reading in discussions here that a lot of people are sort of trying to excuse Keyshawn Vaughn.
No, Keyshawn, I'm with you. Keyshawn dropped. He even dropped because initially it was like, because when I listened I've been watching the show since the beginning. By the way, like I said, great show. But if I heard you guys correctly, when you were doing the play-by-play as far as a summary of what took place, I heard you say that Trask fumbled the ball, and I wasn't sure if you were talking about in the exchange between he and Keyshawn, but Keyshawn fumbled that ball, and there are even people because I was kind of watching, kind of some other play-by-plays and stuff. And there are some who are saying, "Oh, well, was it Trask that maybe didn't hand it off properly?" And then right after that, he fumbles the freaking kickoff. So
right.
I'm like, no, man. And I like Keyshawn Vaughn.
No, you and I both do. We've discussed it on many occasions.
Like I said, I was excited. I'm like,
yeah.
he was a beast at Vanderbilt. And I'm thinking, wow, give him some time and he's going to do the same in the pros, but it just hasn't panned out. And I can't put my finger on what it is, or if he just doesn't, quote unquote, have it.
And I just think he picked the wrong night there. And I don't want to say, well, he doesn't have it, because I heard you talking about that too, Dave. Chris Godwin went through something very similar in the playoffs. We just had a case of the drops. He couldn't hold on to hardly nothing. They got thrown at him.
Right.
And so maybe he was just having that tonight. One fumble and he got in his head and he just couldn't get out of his way. But it was a bad night to do that on, considering it was the last playoff game. And you're trying to get a spot, because that spot isn't promised to him just because he was on the team last year.
Sure.
So I like Keyshawn Vaughn. I think he's got talent, but man, he picked a bad night to have a bad night.
Yeah, that's a good
agree.
way to put that. That's a very good way to put that. He
Excellent point.
He picked a bad night to have a bad night, and that's actually well put. So my question is this: if you're going to keep 6, maybe 7 wide receivers, you got Evans, Godwin, Brown, and Darden are for sure. So 2 or 3 out of the rest of these: Tyler Johnson, Cyril Grayson, Jaden Mickens, Justin Watson, and Scotty Miller. 2, maybe 3. Okay. Tyler Johnson, Justin Watson, Scotty Miller, Cyril Grayson, and Jaden Mickens. Now, the one thing I will say is Grayson and Mickens both play on special teams. Scotty Miller does not play on special teams. Justin Watson does not play on special teams. Tyler Johnson does not play on special teams.
Yeah,
it's got to make you think.
Yeah, I hear you, and I guess as you say that, what I'm thinking is, you named off the 4. We know for sure Evans, Godwin, and Brown, for sure, right?
Right.
When you said Jalen Darden, I was like, yes, because Jalen Darden can also play special teams.
No, he has played them, yeah.
And that's what I mean. So
he's on there. I'm considering one of the 4. You've got Evans, Godwin, Brown, and Darden that are a given. They are making the team, period. Right. So you've got 2, maybe 3 spots left for the rest of those.
Well, I would wonder are we sure that Darden? I'm sure Darden's going to be on the team, but is he going to be special teams? Or is
he will be the punt returner and kick returner.
Okay, so then I would say, if I was going to pick the other 2, it would be Scotty Miller, and I say Tyler Johnson's on the bubble, but I am certain Scotty Miller will be there. And you want to know how I'm certain? Because Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. really likes Scotty Miller, so Scotty Miller will be one of the 53. He's going to make the team.
Okay. Justin Watson, let's say he's an odd man out.
Tyler Johnson is probably on the bubble, but if I had to pick of the 5 that you mentioned who could be above the final 2, I would go with Tyler Johnson and Scotty Miller.
They seem to love Cyril Grayson and his versatility, and Jaden Mickens. They seem to love them and use them a lot, and in a lot of different ways. They just seem to have the versatility. I don't know. Now granted, somebody could end up with a mysterious hamstring injury, and they end up getting stuffed away on IR for a few weeks, or there are some things that they can do, and I'm sure there will be some roster gymnastics that take place. But I don't know. In the post-game press conferences, Brady talked about how he was really happy to get real reps and get back into rhythm. But Arians talked about how Scotty Miller has an elbow issue. Now that may be step number 1 on there. You go with the roster with the roster gymnastics.
It's good to be the goat's pet.
Yes. Yeah, I mean that maybe
really
he said he
is.
has a bit of an elbow issue, but will be fine. Giovanni Bernard is fine as well.
I'm just saying. I hear you, Rick. But the one thing Scotty has and Tyler have that none of those other guys have is proven experience in the regular season and big games.
I've got no problem with that. I'm just trying to say, what are they going to do trying to fit all these people? I mean, what is Jalen Darden known for? Shiftiness and speed. What's that?
Get somebody like, we're going to cut you, but we're going to put you in the practice squad kind of get it. They could pull that kind of deal, right?
Yeah, if you cut him and nobody picks him up, then you can put him on the practice squad.
Right.
And keep in mind, other teams are cutting people.
Right.
So, I mean, you're looking at those folks too. So, I don't know. Anyway, Giovanni Bernard is probably fine. But Arians, one of the things that I found very interesting is Arians said that there's no clear winner between Grant Stewart and Joe Jones for the last linebacker spot.
Wow.
Now, if he flat out said in his post-game press conference, there is no clear winner between the two. Now, you got to hope Grant Stewart in some sort of way because he's Mr. Irrelevant. I mean, here's a guy that, there's that always makes you a little bit more likable. But right. But I mean, who is he going to make the team? Is he not going to?
Usually the first guy cut too, though. No matter how much. But he played really well
all preseason.
I mean, he played great, and I think because of his play, I wouldn't be surprised to see him on the roster. I think Ledbetter played great. I mean, the fourth down stop he had was crazy. Yeah. I mean, you got some guys who play really, really well. And I think we discussed this in the past when we talked about it. There are going to be some guys who are really good who are going to get cut. It's just
absolutely
how it is.
Absolutely. Guys, we will be back shortly after one more final quick break. We will be right back.
Greatest game ever invented. Blows can jam out of the water. Everybody can play it. There's this game, I've never seen anything like it before, and it's one of the most fun things I've ever played.
Playing QB54 and I love it. So much better than cornhole. I already have 2 touchdowns, but I'm working on my my field goal.
Cornhole, it combines pong and football. There's no other way to tailgate.
America's tailgating game.
QB54. Let's go, baby.
It's a pretty sweet commercial. I like that. I dig it.
I need to get me one of those.
All right, I am back.
I know what I want for Christmas.
All right, Rick. I guess you'll be mailing that to me and Dave, huh?
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah, QP54 looks pretty awesome. All right, guys. So,
may I touch on something, Rick? And
I'll sure. Yeah.
I love what you said, and I think of all the different analysts I've heard talk about things and commentators. I think you and Dave, the way you said it, I'm not saying this to try and puff you guys up. It's just probably the best way I've heard it put when it comes to Brady and AB, but especially in relation to AB, because I have said from the start, this team essentially has 3 number ones. I mean, name another team in the NFL that has. You got 3 number ones.
It gives a new way of putting embarrassment of riches. I mean, it's usually you got a 1A, B, and 2, and so these are 3 number ones, like you said. It's really remarkable, quite frankly.
Yeah, and it's fantastic, and I have all kinds of respect for Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, who's just a beast, both of them. And you can't, as far as their accomplishments, especially Evans, you can't mess with him. AB, I agree, is the best receiver on the team. He's the best receiver of the team, simply from his route running. And now that he has that extra burst back now, because remember, he had that knee injury, and he started half the season. He'd been out for a year and a half. Now that he's getting a full season underneath him, he and Brady get a chance to click. I love what you said, Rick. You got a legendary receiver with a legendary quarterback. And the last time I can remember, you may have different recollections or a different duo, Dave and Rick. The last time I can remember that is Montana Rice.
Brady Moss.
Brady Moss was really good. I mean, don't get me wrong. But that, to me, that was more like Brady and Evans, because Moss was the guy that was just down the field. Nobody could touch him. I mean, he was going to get the touchdown. If he get his hands on it, he's getting.
Yeah, I don't know. I would call him legendary for sure. I mean, the acrobatic catches, the circus catches, the amazing whatever.
But
they're talking about this could be Brady's best year ever, and that I think is just absolutely phenomenal. And it's
ridiculous. 44 years old, man. 44 years.
Let's hear it for the old guys. I mean, it just you become speechless after a while. How many more times can you say it? It's just. 44 years old, and people are seriously, they're not pandering to him. They're just saying it really could be, look at his wide receivers. It could be the best year ever he's ever had. And he's 44 years old.
And here's something else, guys, that I love for Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Because they've actually done a survey on this, right? I can't remember where I saw it last, but the most feared player in the NFL is Tom Brady.
Well, it should be.
He is the most feared player in the NFL, and he plays for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, it's amazing. It is amazing.
So there will be games we go into where the teams we're playing against already believe they're going to lose.
Yeah, and I'm not used to that. I'm just not used to it.
I'm trying to get used to it, but I mean,
it's hard.
I may need a little bit of counseling or something to get me to that point, because
we called it. we have called it Buccaneer stress disorder. I mean, it really is. It's a horrible thing. So I don't know.
I'm used to quarterbacks leaving. I remember Doug Williams, that whole fiasco where. They were 5-4 in the strike shortened season, and then he sits out, and then he goes and signs at the USFL, and you're just sitting there going, "What?" They go 2-14, which started the whole string of even greater embarrassment than we had prior to Brady coming. And you just shake. That's what you're used to. You're used to Bo Jackson saying, "Don't draft me. I'm not coming. You draft me. I'm not coming." Like I said, Jake Plummer goes and plays professional handball. He was in his prime. It's like blocks or handball. I'm going to do handball. I mean, this is what I'm used to. It takes a lot to get over that.
You guys said it before. You got to give all the credit for that to Jason Light. And Bruce Aaron, they've done a phenomenal job with their staff and how they treat the players. And Rick said it earlier. You got the GOAT, and he's very happy to be here.
Yep. Thank you for being here tonight, Stephen.
Thank you very much, Rick. I appreciate you guys. Have a great night.
See you, Stephen.
Have a great night, my friend.
Much appreciated.
All right, that was awesome. That is Stephen Glasgow from Miscreant Mayhem on Bucs Report. And he's a great guy. Great comments. There's a lot of knowledge. It was good to have him come on the show tonight. That was very nice. Now, Dave, I want to get into something here. I want to talk to you about who you think is the player of the game. What are your thoughts about that? Who do you think gets that honor? And then I'll talk to you about my thoughts.
Well, I'm going to just take the obvious. I mean, Tom Brady was the player of the game. He had 2 90-plus yard drives. He surgically carved up. Granted, the Texans are not a great defense on a good day, but how can you not pick Tom Brady he came out, he did what he needed to do, and boom.
Yeah.
Let's get ready for week 1. Here we are. We're done. We're ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it's Tom Brady. I think it's the other person. I really think D. Delaney. I mean, it had 2 picks. I mean, he stopped them at crucial moments. He did what he had to do on defense. He basically led the defense. D. Delaney did. Everybody wrap your mind around that. And I mean,
if I'm picking a defensive player of the game, sure, D. Delaney. I mean, the Texans were using the preseason to go for it on 4th down, even like 4th and 5. But the Bucs defense stood up to him. Yeah, they had 1 touchdown, but that was after the Trask fumble. So Sure, D. Delaney. I gave him defensive player of the game, but I just can't get past Tom Brady. I mean, he was just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's terrifying. It really is frightening to sit there and watch the machine work. And I don't mean that just by him. I mean the entire team and the way that it worked and all the gears were clicking. And it was like, uh-oh, they really are back. This really is that team. That happened. They really are. They played that good. So, all right. So you're going with Brady. I'm going to go with D. Delaney. I think everybody, if you're on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, why don't you go ahead and send us who you guys think should be the player of the game? Go ahead and let us know. You can reach us in any of those ways on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube at Bucs Report, or at on Twitter at Sports Talk FLA. You can reach us in any of those places, and we want to hear your comments. There's a lot going on, man. There is a lot to cover. A lot of when it comes to the players, who are the players of the game? The good players, the bad players. I mean, there's a lot. Dave, around the NFL, what do you see around the NFL that stands out to you as we get ready? In a second, we're going to start looking forward. But right now, as you look at everything in preseason, what stands out?
What stands out? Preseason doesn't typically stand out for me, but I think there's going to be some teams that'll be interesting to follow, especially with the Rams just picking up Michelle. I think there could be a threat in the NFC. Again, we discussed the Panthers. While I don't think they're a threat to make the playoffs, they're going to be an interesting team to watch. Week 1, if you're looking at the NFC South, you already have the Packers are going to be at the Saints at the Caesars Superdome. Packers are a 3-point favorite. You've got people are forgetting. I know I had to be reminded the reigning MVP is Aaron Rodgers. And they had an interesting offseason. Can the Packers, they took the Bucs, they gave a tough game up in Lambeau. Are the Packers going to be back, or has there been some bridges burned or at least damaged to the point where the Packers aren't going to be NFC Championship quality? So there's going to be some interesting teams to follow. There's going to be your surprises that come out of nowhere. And I'm just glad the preseason, at least for the Bucs, is over, and we're almost done with the entire preseason across the league. And I'm ready for the regular games to start.
Yeah. And I have to tell you, Fred Swayze Moore just made a comment that is definitely worth mentioning. Somebody that we have not talked about tonight and their performance tonight, and I definitely think it deserves mentioning, and that is Levante David, 8 tackles in 1 quarter. I mean, that guy was everywhere. 1 quarter to do that. Yeah. Absolute props to Levante David. I think Fred is correct in making that comment. Player of the game. Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's the point of the matter. And this is what's fun about the Buccaneers is there's so many good things that it's hard to point at one in particular. It really is. It's hard to look at one of them and go, okay, there you go. It's that one. I mean, it really is hard to do. But
I mean, just going back to the Super Bowl, I mean, there's been some discussion on your shows about the defense and did the defense really carry the day, so to speak? And the point is that the offense is so good that the defense even gets brought up like that. I mean, after the Super Bowl was over and they were going to announce the MVP, it was going to be Tom Brady, but I'm sitting there thinking to myself in the discussion of where I was at watching the game, where I was like, I would give it to the entire Bucs defense.
Yeah.
What they did to Patrick Mahomes, and yes, they had some issues on the offensive line, but still, what they did to Patrick Mahomes, I mean, look how he carves people up.
Yeah.
Really good defenses up. And the Bucs dominated them, shut them down. That's the first time since Patrick Mahomes became a starter where you could make the statement that the Chiefs were shut down.
Oh yeah,
They didn't even score 10 points. They didn't get a
touchdowns.
touchdown. I mean, I had the Bucs down as winning that game. Great in hindsight, but I never thought it would be 31-9, and that the Chiefs could not get anything going on offense but field goals. I mean, we're going to look back on these years and say this was the golden age of being a Buc fan.
Well, it's the golden age of being a fan in Tampa, period. I mean, they call it Tampa Bay for a reason. It's ridiculous. It really is. It's ridiculous. The Buccaneers team has an embarrassment of riches where every position, everywhere you look, even depth, it's just you're sitting there scratching your head going, seriously? Are you kidding me? And then, I mean, then you look, okay, the Rays have the best record in the American League, or they did a few days ago. I don't know.
They still do. They've won 9 out of 10. And I believe they won tonight. So
the Lightning winning 2 in a row when it comes to Stanley Cups. I mean, at some point, this is almost silly season. And okay, so here's a funny story, folks. Dave and I have known each other since we were very little, very young. Like we literally went to elementary school together. Okay, and one thing I remember,
Mrs. Rainey's first grade class.
Yep, in a conversation that I had with Dave at some point in our lives, is Dave telling me about the concept of revert to the average. Okay, how if in essence, I'm gonna say flipping a coin. If you flip a coin enough times, if you do it in over a large sample, you're going to end up with basically 50-50. So if at some point you end up where tails is coming up more often, it's going to revert to the average. And with the Buccaneers, they've been so bad for so long, and Tampa sports has been so bad for so long. You realize how incredible it's got to be just to revert to the average? I mean, it's an amazing thought that what this team has in front of them. Guys, Jason Light, give him all the props in the world. You have Bruce Arians because of Jason Light. Whether you want to face it or not, you've got Tom Brady, a good deal because of Jason Light, who built the defense, who brought in Arians. Those are the two basic reasons. Tom Brady talked about the fact that he came to Tampa, and of course there's Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Also, who brought them here? Jason Light. So folks, bottom line, no matter what you want to say, I've watched this guy get brutalized on social media, but Jason Light, he should be executive of the year. He got flat out robbed last year. He should be the NFL executive of the year. And I mean, he just flat out got robbed. And I think it's ridiculous. But Jason Light, major props for this team that you've put together. Now, as we look forward, now comes the fun part. Here we go. Let's take preseason. Let's crumple it up, get it out of the way. It's time to move on. It's time to talk, hallelujah, real football. It's time to talk Thursday night, a week from Thursday. The Dallas Cowboys are coming to Tampa in a game that matters, in a game that counts. Now, I don't know if anybody's watching Hard Knocks. I don't know if you've had a chance to check it out at all, but I can tell you the most impressive thing I've seen about the Dallas Cowboys on Hard Knocks is that drone shot that showed their absolutely amazing complex. But the team itself, I don't know. There's nothing I'm seeing. I watched it trying to say, okay, what are we, is this a team to be excited about? And all I can say about it, meh. I mean, there's nothing about it that makes me feel like the Dallas Cowboys are something that the Buccaneers should fear. I just don't see it. Harry the Greek says, take the under and definitely take the Bucs. I mean, I agree with that. I don't think there's going to be a ton of points scored. I think if there are, it's because Tampa is about to freak. And if Arians and company, if they absolutely destroy the Cowboys, a message will be sent, notice will be served to the NFL that there's no hangover, there's no there's no half-hearted taste of victory, that this team is hungry and is ready to beat the living tar out of you like they did the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. This game is going to send a message to the rest of the league one way or the other. No matter what happens. If it's close, hey, Tampa can be beat. If Tampa loses, Tampa really can be beat. They've got a hangover. If Tampa destroys the Dallas Cowboys, look out. Look out. Notice will be served. So Keith Larson just said Gabbert just threw another interception. Either on the way home. But I mean, it's the thing is this. Joe Kenda on YouTube said, no injuries is the best story from this game. Yes, it is, Joe. It is the best story from this game. It is the best story from preseason. Hallelujah. It's time for real football. We get to talk Dallas Cowboys. We get to talk about real football. It's on, folks. It's finally over. The longest postseason ever. I swear it felt like forever. I know it was actually the shortest in Buccaneer history, but you know what? It felt like the longest. It really did feel like the longest to me. And I am so happy that this team is back, intact, and ready to play. And it's a special team. And forever, we are going to have these guys in our hearts and in our memories, and we're going to be remembering this stuff. So soak it all up, Bucs fans. Soak every little bit of it up. Think about it. Relish it. Enjoy it. Eat it up. Just absolutely enjoy every freaking minute of this because this is special. Dave, you have any thoughts about this year, about the Dallas game coming up?
Well, the Bucs are early. The early line's a 7.5 point favorite, and the over/under is 50.5. I mean, how can you not go with the Bucs? I will point out that before Dak Prescott got hurt, he was putting up off the chart numbers, and Ezekiel Elliott was like the number 3 fantasy football running back. But you got a long way to come back from the horrific injury that Dak Prescott did.
His foot was on backwards.
I'm amazed that he's back to the point that he is now.
Yeah.
Props to him. The Cowboys are going to come out fired up, but I just don't see the Buccaneers are going to have an off game for that to happen. And after what we witnessed tonight in the first quarter and a half, I just don't see that happening. Like I mentioned, most of the Buccaneers are used to losing and they don't want to go back. And I think you're going to see a fired up team to start the season. Super Bowl hangover for that reason will not be an issue. And I think the Bucs come away with the sound victory in week 1.
Yeah, I think you're right. And like I said, notice will be served one way or the other in this game. This is a huge game, I think, for the Bucs. I really do believe that this is just a massive game for the Bucs because I think this sends a message to the NFL, one way or the other, what this team is going to be, what they're coming in like, whether they're going to have to shake off the dust, shake off the rust, or whether they're going to come out like gangbusters and say, hey, folks, we are back. And I think it's going to be one or the other, and it'll be fun. There's so much talk I hear about the Bucs going, can this team go undefeated? Look, guys, football's a funny game. The ball bounces in funny ways. It's not a round ball. Weird things happen. So as far as expecting an undefeated season, don't be disappointed when the team does fall short in a game and maybe even loses to a team that they should beat. I don't want to hear, oh, same old Bucs. You know what? They're Super Bowl champs. They're not the same old Bucs. This is not the same old Bucs. And we should all be going ahead and let's cheer, let's enjoy it, let's go along for the ride. And guess what, Bucs fans? You can talk a little trash now and not be embarrassed about it, okay? You can talk a little trash to other teams and to other people and not be embarrassed about it. You can let them have a little bit of taste of what they've been able to dish to you. So right now, you know what? I've got a buddy of mine in Atlanta who, whenever we were around Falcons fans, what he would do is he would talk about, he had one of the little replica Super Bowl rings, and he would go, yeah, look at this. Look at this. This is, oh, wait, you don't know what this is. Let me explain. And he'd start explaining it. And guys, that you can feel that way right now, okay? This is it. You're champs. You're coming into the season as champs. Let's go beat the living crap out of some other teams as champs. Let's demoralize some other teams. How do you guys feel about that? Let's demoralize some teams. Let's not just try to win. I remember, who was it? I think it was Dirk Cutter. Somebody said the goal is to be within one touchdown at the end of the game of the team that you're playing. No. The goal is to crush whoever you're playing. Ask Kansas City how that feels. Pat Mahomes said exactly. They embarrassed us. They embarrassed us. It's time for the Buccaneers to go ahead and embarrass the Dallas Cowboys. Serve notice to this league. This is a new year. Try to beat us now. You can't beat us last year. Try to beat us now. And I don't think they can do it. And let's see what's about to go down. Dave, you got any final thoughts?
You did. That was a fantastic positive rant, I would call it. I'm fired up just after listening to you. It's amazing where we're at. 10 weeks into the season last year, I don't remember people talking Super Bowl and Bucs. I know I wasn't thinking it. My reasoning was, well, yeah, you've got Brady, Gronkowski, and Antonio Brown that are coming from winning organizations, but not a lot else. And I just can't imagine them turning it around this fast and they may win a playoff game, but certainly not the Super Bowl. And they did it. And I go back to the whole theory of, these guys as a team, there's a lot of losses that were experienced in that locker room over a long period of time. And I think they still have a chip on their shoulder. They might have a gaudy, oversized ring that has 319 diamonds on it, but they have a chip on their shoulder. And I think you're going to see that. And I agree with you that they're going to go out to dominate. They're not coming out to get out with a win and be happy with it. They're coming in to make a point. Okay. And I think that starts on September 9th.
Yeah, I think you're right. Absolutely. I think you're right. It's time to serve notice to the league. It's a new year. We're back. Try and beat us. That's what I want to see. All right. It's been a very, very fun night. I've enjoyed this. Dave, it was our first night having a hack at this, and I think it was a lot of fun. And next time we do this, what's that?
After a win, especially, I have a great time.
Yeah. Next time we do this, it will be on the radio, guys. We will be on all of the Sports Talk Florida Network radio stations from, I believe, Orlando to Tampa. It's going to be a lot of fun. We've got a great season ahead, all kinds of new and exciting things in this adventure. It's been a good night. You guys have been very involved, very active, you guys have done your part, and I appreciate that. I want you guys to prepare. We want phone calls next week. All right. We're going to want to hear from you guys. This is going to be fun, folks. We got a lot to do. We got a whole season ahead. This is my favorite part of the year because every game lies ahead. Once the first game is over, you don't have the whole season in front of you. Right now you do. And it doesn't matter what team, by the way. Doesn't matter what team. You could be the Jaguars Right now, you got the same record as the Bucs. So let's go in here. Let's have fun. Let's make this a fun year. Let's do a lot of screaming, a lot of shouting, a lot of cheering, a bit of bragging. Let's have a good time because guess what, guys? We're champs. We're champs. Don't forget that. Dave, thanks a lot. It's been great having you here with me tonight. We've got a very fun. Yeah, we got a lot of fun in front of us. So guys, we will see you a week from Thursday after the game, after the Dallas Cowboys get their butt kicked by the good guys in Tampa. Have a great night, everybody.